Hi and welcome to the Thoughts of the Scorpio channel. Today I want to talk about the first two episodes of the new anime Agents of the Four Seasons Dance of Spring. I will say it up front, I really like the show so far. In fact, right after watching the first two episodes, I went out and read the first book. This series is based on a light novel by the author of Violet Evergarden, and I will be making a separate video soon specifically to discuss my thoughts on the book. The first episode starts with a dramatic call for Sakura, and shortly after we meet our leads, Sakura and Hinagiku. You can immediately tell they have a powerful bond, but there's tension there. Sakura is clearly worried about Hinagiku, who wants to apologize to a character named Rose. This baffles Sakura. She holds a grudge against him and feels that if anyone should be apologizing, it's him. We find out they are in this region to bring spring, a mission Sakura kept secret because she only wants to do this with Hinagiku. She doesn't want anyone else involved. While heading up the mountain for the ritual, they encounter a 12-year-old girl named Nazuna with a shovel. Because Spring has been absent for the past 10 years, Nazuna has no idea who Agent of Spring is. She needs proof, so Hinagiku takes a seed and makes it bloom into a rose right before her eyes. Hinagiku explains she isn't a goddess, she simply holds power granted by a goddess to summon the season. When Hinagiku suggests Sakura go look for the girl's parents while she stays behind, Sakura has a complete panic attack. She is desperate to keep Hinagiku safe because of something that happened in the past, something she couldn't prevent. It was very interesting when Hinagiku told her the present Hinagiku is here. That line sounded really interesting. We eventually learn why Nazuna is on the mountain. She's there to shovel snow off her mother's grave, so she won't be cold. Hinagiku decides to perform the ritual right there. It's a beautiful sequence of singing and dancing with fun. During the dance, Nazuna remembers the spring of her early childhood when her mother was alive, and both she and Sakura are deeply moved by its return. The show introduces a myth. Winter was the first season, and it created spring. They loved each other deeply. Later, summer and autumn were created, and the seasons decided to give their powers to humans so the seasons themselves could finally have time for one another. So winter could finally love spring. The episode ends with a glimpse of the Agent of Winter watching the news of spring's return. The narration then drops a massive hook. This is the beginning of a story about murder, rescue, friendship, and love. It's a bold way to end a pilot episode, and it definitely encouraged me to watch the next episode. Before I move on to episode 2, I want to talk about my feelings on this introduction. I'm generally not a fan of stories that try too hard to force an emotional reaction without enough build-up. For me, Nazuna's story felt a bit forced, like they were just trying to make the audience cry. I was also worried the show would be purely episodic, a person of the week format. Now that I've read the book, I know it's not, but it was a concern at the time. The music, the character designs, the colors, and the animation are all great. I also love the relationship between Sakura and Hinagiku. Their love for each other is so strong I initially thought it was a Yuri story. After reading the book, I can tell you their relationship is very complicated. It both intrigues and frustrates me. I'm also loving the bits of the world building. The mystery of what happened to Hinagiku, why she speaks in the third person with those strange poses. That ending really stayed with me, how out of the blue this became a story about murder. The second episode dives deeper into the world building, starting with the introduction of the Four-Season Agency. We also learn that Hinagiku was kidnapped 10 years ago, and now Sakura asks her if she wants to keep her distance from the agency. They decide not to run. After the opening, we met Rose, the agent of Winter, and his retainer, Itecha. They are traveling to see the flowers and experience the return of spring. I really enjoyed their dynamic, especially the bit where Itacho tells he had to use his head literally. You can feel how familiar and comfortable they are with one another. The tone shifts quickly when they get off their plane and are attacked by insurgents. This leads to an action scene. Rose uses his winter powers to help, while Itacho fights them off with his sword. It's explained that the Agent of Winter requires the most security because winter is often an unlikable season, making them frequent targets for attack. We finally find out what happened a decade ago. Hinagiku disappeared while in winter territory. During an attack, both Sakura and Itacho were hurt. In a moment of desperation, Rose was prepared to end his life to satisfy the attackers and save Hinagiku. Instead, Hinagiku made the choice to protect everyone else, allowing the attackers to kidnap her so the others could live. This left Rose with massive survivor's guilt. We learn that while the spring villages gave up the search for Hinagiku after 3 months, the winter villages continued for 5 years. However, when they eventually stopped, Sakura felt betrayed. Now she hates them. Itacho also carries deep remorse because he feels he abandoned Sakura in her time of need, and she vanished shortly after. Later, there's a scene when Rose and Itacho are driving and witness an accident. A car is about to plummet down a cliff with children inside. Even though it's technically against the rules for an agent to use their power for anything other than self-defense or summoning their season, Itacho understands that Rose needs to save someone today because of the past events. So Rose sings his song and creates a beautiful ice structure, stylized with flowers and spring motifs, to catch the car. I liked this episode because it moved away from the episodic feel I feared in episode 1 and focused on the next agent of the season. Meeting Itacho and Rose was a highlight. Itacho clearly loves Sakura. I like the small detail of him putting the Sakura's petal in his pocket, and Rose teasing him that he needs to tell her he cares and not him. I'm a sucker for where portrayed yearning, and to be honest, I felt the yearning more from Sakura in the first episode than I did from Rose here. But you can still tell he cares deeply. The opening and ending are okay, and in both visuals give me strong Yuri vibes. Even after reading the source material, I'm still trying to fully wrap my head around Sakura and Hinagiku's complex relationship. Those are my thoughts on the start of Agents of the Four Seasons. Let me know what you think about the show so far, and what your predictions are. Since I've read the book, it will be fun to see if your theories match what happens next. Thanks for listening and bye!